Welcome to SPW Worship. Today we bring you a deep dive into the making of a majestic hymn. Let's hear what international experts have to say about our composition, Hallelujah Forevers.
Welcome back to the deep dive. We have a really fascinating stack of papers on the desk today.
We really do.
And I have to say, it's a little different from our usual fare. I mean, normally you and I are digging into a tech company's quarterly report, or maybe a complex historical treaty.
Or a scientific study on sleep patterns. Something like that.
Right, exactly. We like hard data. We like facts.
We do. We like things we can measure and put into a spreadsheet.
We do. But today, the source material is, well, it's a blueprint. But it's not for a building, and it's not for a piece of software. It's a blueprint for an emotion.
That is a perfect way to describe it.
Specifically, we're looking at a composition brief and a highly detailed lyric sheet for a piece of music. And it's titled Hallelujah Forever.
Yeah, blueprint for an emotion, because when you first look at this document, it just looks like a song.
Just lyrics on a page?
Right. You've got verses, a chorus, some chords noted, but then you start reading the sidebar notes.
All the production instructions?
Exactly. The production instructions, the specific mood descriptors, and you realize this isn't just an artistic suggestion, it is an engineering document.
It really is. It's incredibly prescriptive, and that's the premise we want to explore with you today.
Because we tend to think of music, right, especially spiritual or worship music, as this completely spontaneous, almost mystical thing.
Right, like the artist just closes their eyes, feels the spirit, and the song just flows out of them perfectly formed.
But this document suggests something very different. It suggests that awe, that feeling of transcendent awe, is something you manufacture.
It's the difference between a thunderstorm, which, just happens naturally, and a hydroelectric dam.
Yes. The dam harnesses that raw energy for a very specific, calculated purpose.
And this document is the dam.
It is.
Our mission today is to figure out how they do it. How do you engineer a feeling of victory or eternity using nothing but text instructions on a page?
Because the ambition here is just massive.
Oh, it's huge. I mean, look at the genre tags right at the top of the brief.
It doesn't say folk song.
No. Or pop ballad. It explicitly calls for a devotional epic and an orchestral hymn.
An epic is a dangerous word to throw around in music production unless you have a very solid plan to back it up.
And they do have a plan. It demands a feeling of divine glory. It lists these mood keywords like majestic, awe-inspiring, victorious, and resonant.
Resonant is the one that really stuck out to me when I was reviewing the brief.
Why that one specifically?
Well, think about the physics of sound. Resonance is about energy filling a physical space and sustaining itself.
Like a vibration.
Exactly. When something resonates, it doesn't just pass through the room and disappear. It lingers. It physically shakes the room.
It has presence.
Right. And looking at the visual cues mentioned in the source, it talks about the imaginary backdrops for this song, changing to bookshelves, star charts, cityscapes.
Which is such a weird combination of images for a church song.
It is. But they're trying to bridge the gap between the intellectual and the cosmic.
I see.
They want a sound that is smart enough, structured enough for a library full of star charts, but big enough for an entire galaxy.
That is a seriously tall order for a single piece of music.
It is.
So let's get into the nuts and bolts of how they actually build that, because the first thing that struck me as pure calculated engineering was the pulse.
The tempo.
Right, the tempo, the heartbeat of the track. It is set very specifically at 90 to 100 BPM, beats per minute.
Which is a very deliberate choice.
Now, to a non-musician listening to us right now, that's just a number. But why is that specific 90 to 100 window so important? I mean, why not slower?
This is where we get into the actual physiology of music.
Yeah.
Your body reacts to a tempo before your brain even has time to process the melody or the lyrics.
Really? Before the lyrics?
Absolutely. Think about it. 60 BPM is roughly a resting human heartbeat.
Okay.
If you want to calm someone down or make them feel introspective or vulnerable or safe, you write your song at 60 or maybe 70 BPM.
That's your standard ballad. Or a lullaby.
Exactly. That's the chill out zone. Your heart rate literally synchronizes with it.
So what happens when you speed it up?
Well, on the other end of the spectrum, you have 120 BPM and up.
That's jogging speed.
It's a jog. It's a disco track. It's EDM. It triggers a mild fight or flight response, or at least a highly energized let's dance response.
It's frantic.
It can be very frantic. It's high energy.
So 90 to 100 is what, the Goldilocks zone?
It's the anthem zone.
The anthem zone, I like that.
It's an elevated heart rate, but it's not panicked. It's the exact speed of a brisk walk or determined, purposeful march.
And the source material actually describes it as a moderate, fast, strong, dignified pulse.
That word dignified is doing a massive amount of heavy lifting there.
It implies weight,
Yes.
seriousness.
Yes. If it were any faster, say 115 BPM, it might feel cheap or poppy. It loses its gravity.
And if it were slower, it would just drag and feel sad.
Right. But at 90 to 100 BPM, you feel like you're moving forward with absolute purpose. You aren't running away from anything, but you definitely aren't stopping.
You're on a mission.
Exactly. And that forward momentum is absolutely crucial here because the document explicitly states the song, quote, builds from a majestic intro to anthemic and grand choruses.
You can't have a grand sweeping build if the underlying tempo is sluggish.
It would just collapse under its own weight.
Okay, so we've got the musical engine running at a steady 95 BPM or so. Now we need to populate the stage. Who is actually making the sound?
The casting.
Yes. The source is incredibly specific about who is singing this. And honestly, reading it feels like reading a casting call for a Hollywood movie.
We essentially have two distinct characters in this sonic play, lead and the choir.
And they are not just there to sing the right pitches. They have
Yeah.
very different psychological jobs to do for the listener.
Let's start with the lead. The instruction bolded calls for a male lead.
But not just any male voice. It specifies baritone, tenor, and then we get these adjectives. Strong, clear, highly emotive, confident,
And my absolute favorite instruction in the whole packet.
declarative.
Declarative. That is such a brilliantly specific choice for a vocal style.
It almost sounds like he's supposed to be reading the evening news, not singing a worship song.
In a way, he is reporting the news. Think about human evolution. A baritone or a low tenor voice carries a certain frequency range that we naturally associate with authority.
And stability.
Exactly. Think about movie trailers. Think about the voice of a seasoned news anchor. It is never a high, breathy, fluttering falsetto voice.
Right, it's deep. It rumbles in the chest.
If you had a high, breathy, pop-style voice singing these specific lyrics, it might sound vulnerable, it might sound intimate, like an internal struggle.
Look, I hope this is true.
Exactly. But declarative implies he isn't asking a question, he isn't hoping. He is stating an absolute, unshakable fact. The source says he needs to emphasize the lyrical message. He is the anchor for the listener.
So if the lead is the anchor keeping us grounded, what is the choir? Because the source bolds this section too. It says very prominent and powerful choir vocal.
And it notes that they are central to the sound. The choir is the engine of the awe we talked about earlier. This is the we factor.
What do you mean by the we factor?
If one person sings a song, it's a solo performance. You're watching them emote. If 50 people sing the exact same song together, it's a movement.
It's a community.
Yes. The instruction calls for full, rich, multi-layered male and female voices, explicitly akin to a large church choir.
And the way they construct the actual entrance of that choir is really fascinating. I almost missed this the first time I read the brief, but the engineering of the intro is super specific.
The low octaves.
Yes. It says, the choir should begin the intro with male voices in low octaves.
Just the men, down in the basement of the frequency range.
Why do that? Why separate them out right at the start? Why not just have the full choir sing the first chord and blow everyone away?
Because you are building a structure. Think about the visual of a cathedral we used. You don't start building a cathedral by hanging the stained glass windows in midair.
You start with the foundation.
You start with a heavy stone slab. By starting with just the male voices in the low octaves, you are creating a massive sonic floor.
Because those low frequencies are felt physically.
They're felt in the chest.
Yeah.
It creates a rumble. And the document explicitly says they should transition to a full, powerful sound later in the arrangement.
So you start with the low male rumble, and you save the sky, the female voices, and the high harmonies for later.
It is a literal physical ascent in the audio frequency spectrum as the song progresses.
Which perfectly mirrors the lyrics.
It does.
Let's look at those words now. We have this steady 90 BPM march. We have this authoritative baritone lead. We have this low rumbling choir foundation. The song opens.
Hallelujah forever.
Repeated twice. Very simple.
Simple but effective. Sung in those low octaves, hallelujah is the praise, and forever immediately introduces the concept of time.
Infinite time.
Right. It feels ancient. It feels like the sound is literally coming up out of the ground.
And then verse 1 kicks in, and the lyrics immediately tackle this massive concept of scale.
Let's hear it.
Quote, from the dawn of time until the ages cease, Your love resounds in endless melodies.
We are establishing the timeline here. This is not about my tough week or my current struggles.
No, this is the dawn of time until the ages cease.
We are zooming out to the maximum possible wide shot of the universe.
And then we get the physical imagery. Quote, mountains bow and oceans roar, hallelujah evermore.
Notice the shift in agency happening there. It is not just that the human singer is impressed by the divine.
The planet itself is impressed.
The planet is participating, the mountains are bowing down, the oceans are roaring.
It's an objective claim about reality.
Exactly. It's saying this isn't just my personal religious opinion. The actual geology of the earth agrees with this.
Which makes the song feel so much bigger than the individual listener.
It validates the emotional response because the physical world is supposedly participating in it with you.
And that geological weight prepares us for the lift into the chorus. This is where that anthem vibe is supposed to completely peak.
The lyrics shift upward.
They do. Hallelujah forever, our anthem will rise. Through the darkness, through the skies.
Look at that physical trajectory. We started in the low octaves, the earth. Verse 1 was mountains and oceans, the surface of the earth. Now in the chorus, the anthem rises through the skies.
We are physically ascending in the narrative.
And we meet new participants in the sky.
Right, quote, angels join with one accord, singing holy is the Lord.
So we have officially moved from geology to cosmology. We've gone from rocks bowing to angels singing.
And that phrase with one accord is critical, isn't it?
It reinforces the exact choir instruction we talked about earlier, unity. Everyone, whether they are terrestrial or celestial, is on the exact same page.
It's a very vertical song. It just keeps looking up and up.
It is. But what I really appreciate about this specific blueprint is that verse 2 does a sudden, very grounded pivot.
Yeah, it stops looking at pristine nature and angels and it looks directly at human history.
And the tone gets noticeably darker for a moment.
The lyrics are, when shadows fade and kingdoms fall, your light remains through it all.
Kingdoms fall. That is a surprisingly heavy, almost cynical line for an upbeat, victorious anthem.
It feels like a sudden reality check in the middle of all this soaring praise.
It is a reality check. It contrasts the absolute permanence of the divine, the hallelujah, with the profound transience of human power.
Governments rise and fall, civilizations collapse, shadows fade.
By acknowledging right in the middle of the song that kingdoms fall, the blueprint introduces a problem. The problem is that absolutely everything human beings build eventually breaks.
It creates a psychological need for something that actually lasts.
Exactly. And then the song offers the solution in the very next breath. Generations shout your fame. Hallelujah stays the same.
That perfectly matches the mood tag we saw earlier in the brief. Steadfast.
Yes. This entire song is explicitly designed to be a psychological anchor.
In a world that feels incredibly chaotic.
Where kingdoms are literally or figuratively falling around you, this blueprint is offering you a rock to stand on. It's saying, you can completely rely on this. This one thing doesn't change.
And that is a powerfully engineered emotional hook. Because honestly, who doesn't want stability right now?
We all biologically crave it.
Right.
And that is exactly why the declarative tone of the lead singer we discussed is so vital.
Oh, if he sounded unsure, the whole message would fall apart.
The whole structure collapses. He has to sound like he knows, for an absolute scientific fact, that hallelujah stays the same.
So we've established the foundation, we've climbed up to the sky, we've watched human empires crumble to dust. Now, musically speaking, we need to bring this whole thing home. We need the climax.
The bridge.
Right, the bridge. And the instructions in the document here get very mechanical again.
They call for a traditional call and response.
Specifically, it says the tenors and basses shout, no end to praise, no night in sight. And then the full choir responds.
Call and response is one of the oldest, most effective musical technologies in human history.
You see it everywhere.
You see it in work songs in the fields, you see it in military marching cadences, you see it in ancient tribal liturgy.
Why is it so universally effective?
Because it forces physical participation. It breaks down the invisible wall between the performer and the audience.
It's a conversation.
One group shouts a statement, the other group is obligated to answer. It builds massive tension because you are waiting for the response to hit. It creates this compounding feedback loop of kinetic energy.
And they're repeating this phrase, forever we'll sing hallelujah to the king. And they do it twice, ramping up the volume.
It's the engine revving. You cannot just jump to the highest, loudest note of the song from a cold start. You have to wind the spring tight.
And that's what the bridge is doing.
It tightens the spring. so that when the final release happens, it feels overwhelming.
And then the spring snaps. We hit the final chorus. And the source material has a very specific instruction right here that I think changes the entire feel of the track.
The descant.
The instruction says full choir plus descant, and it specifies soaring high soprano descant harmony.
Okay, for listeners who might not have been in their high school choir, let's break down what that actually means.
Please do.
A descant is a secondary melody that is sung completely above the main tune. It is almost always the absolute highest thing you can hear in the audio mix.
It's that part in a traditional Christmas carol, like on the last verse of Hark the Herald Angels Sing, where suddenly the sopranos go rogue and start singing those piercingly high notes that just cut right through the whole church.
Piercing is the exact right word. In terms of audio engineering and psychoacoustics, this is all about frequency saturation.
Explain that.
Think about the total human hearing spectrum as a literal box that you are trying to fill with sound.
Okay, a box.
You have the basses and the drums handling the low end of the box. The tenors and altos and guitars are filling up the thick mid-range. The orchestra is playing at full volume. The box is practically completely full of audio information.
But there's a tiny little space left at the very top.
Exactly. The penthouse of the frequency box. The only empty space left in your hearing range is the very, very top.
And that's where the descant goes.
When that soaring soprano descant hits, it fills that last remaining gap. It creates a sudden, overwhelming sensation of sonic fullness.
It literally mimics the idea of the angelic texture that was mentioned in the brief.
It does. It feels like the roof has suddenly been blown completely off the building.
Wow.
If the song just stayed thick in the mid-range, it would feel powerful but contained. By adding that piercing descant, the sound feels limitless. It physically draws the listener's ear upward.
It's the sonic equivalent of standing in a Gothic cathedral and looking up into the central spire.
It forces your perspective upwards.
And that is exactly how you engineer awe. You overwhelm the sensory inputs, but you do it in a highly structured mathematical way.
Precisely.
But here's the thing about structure. Eventually, the song has to end. You can't just scream at the top of your lungs at 95 BPM forever.
Your choir would pass out.
Right. But the way this blueprint handles the outro suggests that, narratively, maybe they don't really want it to end.
Ah, yes, the come down.
The technical instruction here is diminuendo with layered echoes.
Now, diminuendo is just the Italian musical term for gradually getting quieter. But the layered echoes part, that is the narrative key to the whole ending.
Because the lyrics at this point have broken down into just fragments. They're singing, forever, ever, ever.
Fading away.
Hallelujah, holy is the Lord.
Think about what an echo implies in the real world. You do not get sprawling echoes in a small carpeted room.
No, you get echoes in a massive canyon.
You get echoes in a vast, cavernous, empty space. So the sound design itself is implying an impossibly massive physical environment.
Right.
But also, think about the psychological concept of a fade out versus a hard stop.
Okay.
When a live song has a hard stop, boom, it's over. The performance is definitively finished. Everyone claps and goes home.
But a fade out implies that it's actually still going.
Exactly. A fade out implies that the musicians are still playing, the choir is still singing, and you are just slowly walking away from them.
Your proximity is changing.
It implies that the source of the sound hasn't stopped at all, but your human ability to perceive it has just diminished.
Oh, I absolutely love that. It's like a radio signal that you're driving away from. The signal gets weak, but the broadcast itself is still happening out there in the ether.
Precisely. And that brilliant bit of audio engineering reinforces the core theological claim of the title, Hallelujah Forever.
Because if the song had a hard, sudden stop, it would subconsciously contradict its own lyrics. It's not forever, it was exactly 4 minutes long.
But by using the diminuendo, the layered echoes, and the fade, the engineering suggests that this cosmic praise is literally eternal, and we, mere mortals, just managed to tune into it for a few minutes.
That is just brilliant design. It makes the actual physical structure of the audio an argument for the lyric.
It creates a perfectly unified theory of sound and message. Every single nut and bolt serves the emotional purpose.
So when we step back and look at this entire document from top to bottom, it really is quite a journey, isn't it?
It covers a massive amount of ground.
We started down in the dirt, right? With the rumbling, low male voices. We watched mountains physically bow. We watched human kingdoms fall to pieces.
We climbed the ladder of the musical scale all the way up to the angels.
We hit that glass ceiling with the soprano descant, and then we just drifted off into an eternal echoing canyon.
It is a complete, masterful, emotional arc mapped out on a single sheet of paper.
And what's wild to me is that if you were just driving in your car on a Tuesday and heard this track on the radio, you'd probably just tap your steering wheel and think, wow, that's a really powerful song.
You'd feel the goosebumps.
But you wouldn't think about the fact that some producer sat down at a desk and typed out instruction, soaring high soprano descant harmony.
And that is the ultimate mark of good design. When it works perfectly, the blueprint becomes completely invisible.
You just experience the result.
Right. You don't stand on the sidewalk, look at a massive skyscraper, and think about the structural steel rivets or the wind load calculations.
You just look at the skyline and say, wow.
But make absolutely no mistake. The wow was planned. The wow was calculated months before the concrete was ever poured.
Which brings us back to that core premise we started with, the idea of engineering and emotion. We really like to think our deep feelings are these pure, untouchable, spontaneous things.
We protect them.
We do. But this source proves that awe is at least partially a mathematical calculation. It's a specific recipe of 95 BPM, plus a baritone frequency, plus a lyrical progression, plus sheer volume.
It's the architecture of the human soul. We are, at the end of the day, biological machines that respond predictably to sound waves.
We're vibrating along with it.
And when you arrange those sound waves in this exact specific pattern, the steady pulse, the low to high frequency build, the declarative anchor leading to the echoing fade, you unlock a highly specific physiological and psychological response.
Which leaves us with a bit of a provocative thought to wrap up on today.
It does. It fundamentally makes me question the nature of our deepest spiritual or emotional experiences.
How so? Like, in what way?
Well, when we're in that incredible moment, whether it's at a massive rock concert or a deeply moving church service, or even just sitting in a dark theater watching an epic movie scene.
And you get the chills.
Right, you get the chills. You feel that lump in your throat, that overwhelming sense of victory or deep cosmic connection.
Yeah.
Are we actually responding to the truth of the message being delivered?
Mm-hmm.
Is it the concept of the hallelujah that moves us to tears? Or are we simply helplessly responding to the precise audio engineering of our mammalian biology?
That is the question. If you played the exact same Majestic chords at the exact same 95 BPM tempo with the exact same piercing soprano descant, but the lyrics were just a guy singing about, I don't know, filing his taxes, would we still feel that profound sense of awe?
Is the music just the packaging, or is the music the actual product we're buying into?
I think we're both going to be listening to the radio a little differently on the drive home today.
Undoubtedly.
Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the blueprint of Hallelujah Forever. It's been eye-opening.
See you next time.